Jobs today. The first one is called the Peppard on your list, non-contact thumb tape job. This one isn't as strong. It doesn't restrict movement as much as the contact thumb did. So the strength of this tape job is that it does allow a greater range of motion pain-free. The problem with it is not quite as strong, and you cannot use it with a glove or a mitt. So what we're going to do is the basic spica or figure 8, and we're going to put a figure 8. So we will go around the hand and then around the thumb and around the hand and around the thumb. And it doesn't matter which direction you go, it doesn't matter where you start, it just matters that you finish it on the back. And we want to get the tape up as high as we can to the MTP joints on the back. So we would want to put the tape there, but not on the joint. Because if it's on the joint, there's a valley, and you're not going to get very good binding to the skin here. It'll be fine there, but not in between. So we try to keep the tape here where it's flat and we can get better bonding of the tape. So just kind of press this into the hand as you go around. Spray on the exam for this tape job. Actually, somebody else asked me, how much spray do you put on? Most of this will come out. Even when you're doing an ankle tape job for somebody, all you do is give it a light dust. I don't want to spray his face. That's it. Just a quick little nothing. You don't stand here and squirt it until it's dripping off your hand, or you need a jackhammer to get the tape off it. So just give it a light dust. That'll be enough to hold it on. And usually you have to kind of fan it a little bit. So you just keep fan it like this and keep touching it. As soon as it gets tacky to the touch, then it's good to tape. So I'm going to start on the back because his hand is here. I'm going to have to bend the tape a bit, but that's okay. It's thin and it's not going to wrinkle a lot. When we get over onto the palmar side of his hand, here's that thing. I'm going to go right up to the crease of the MTP joint. So I'm going to go right up as high as I can so that this tape is right up at the joint of the MTP. I can get good bonding right here. Then I would have the athlete find as great a range of motion pain-free as he can get with this thing, and then he'll hold it in that position, and then I'm just going to continue with my figure 8. I'm wrapping this around the IP joint. Okay, put it right on the joint. That will protect it from dislocating. And you notice how loose I'm making this in here. You see why in a minute. You make that very loose. Put the tape right back on top of the first one. You don't have to overlap this at all. Nice and loose. Finish on the back. And this next part is really critical. What I'm going to do is wrap this up. I'm going to roll it up. It's sometimes called a butterfly tape job. And I'm going to wrap that up so that it's really, really tight. But it's very important that when you're rolling it up, you grab the tape and pull it away from the crotch of the thumb and index finger. You have to keep it up high when you're wrapping this thing. So I'm going to grab this and pull it out like that, and then start to wrap it up. And I keep pulling it out. I keep pulling it this way as I wrap it, and I'm going to wrap that so that it's really, really tight. The width of the tape is quite important, actually. It has to be somehow in proportion to the size of the hand. If you have a small hand and a wide strip of tape, you wind up with so much tape in here that it's a real problem trying to get it wound up. So, you know, how do you know? You just kind of have a look. It's probably a bit better if it winds up being a bit thin and you think, oh, that's not very strong, just go around once more. It's no big deal. You can put 3 on instead of 2. But this is a good width, and I'm going to continue to crank that up as tight as I can. Now, what's important is to see that my butterfly comes right off his knuckle, right up high pot. Not down here. It's not coming here because that won't restrict movement of the thumb into the painful area. It comes from right up on the knuckle, right to the IP joint. And that's going to give me a really good tether. Now I'm just going to take a small piece of tape and wrap it here to stop that from unraveling. And I would just wrap that around like that, and that's the butterfly tape job. So this gives him a big, huge range of motion, but it shouldn't be in a painful arc. But I can't get a glove in through here. But I could, usually this is a little bit high up on here, but normally when you put this on, the thumb is exposed, so it's good for ball, you know, basketball, volleyball, you can use it. But it's just not that strong. So that is the Peppard. And by the way, the test on this, I should be able to get my index finger in here when you finish it. If I can't get my index finger in here, you've got this thing down too close, and that's going to be too restrictive. We want a really big range of motion for the thumb here, not a small one.
Do we have to get our own tape or spray for the exam, or do you guys provide spray?
We have. Yeah, we'll provide. It's a lot sticky. We'll provide tape adherent, any elastic tape that you require for your tape jobs. If you've run out of heel and lace pads, we have some heel and lace pads here, but you must use heel and lace pads on both the ankle tape jobs, whichever one you get, you must use them. So that's why I said at the beginning, make sure you practice with them so you don't make mistakes.
When you begin this tape job, what position should your partner stand in?
Where it doesn't hurt. I said get him to go to the extreme range of pain-free motion, which means it doesn't hurt. Okay? So you want to get as much movement out of it as you possibly can. The next tape job we're going to do is a finger sprain. And normally when you sprain a finger, we lash it to a good finger beside it somewhere. So if you sprain your baby finger, you have no choice. It goes to the ring finger. If you sprain your index finger, it has no choice. It goes to your middle finger. But if you sprain either of these two, you could go, I could take my middle digit to the index finger or to the ring finger. And the ring finger, I can go here or I can go there. So, and it makes a difference where you go. So let's just say that his middle digit is the one that's sprained, and I'm going to determine whether or not it goes to the index finger or the ring finger, what I do is put the 3 fingers together like that, and then have a look at how the knuckles line up. See if we can get a really good look here. So it's not really clear. It might even be easier if you look up here, but I can tell you that his second and fourth digits are almost exactly the same length. They're a little bit off. I have what's called a 2D, 4D difference. So my second digit is considerably shorter than my fourth. For some of you, your second and fourth digits will be exactly the same length. And the finger that you should lash to will differ. If you have a 2D, 4D difference, you'll go to the ring finger. This, you can see that my knuckles line up. His don't really line up really well anywhere because he doesn't have either no 2D, 4D, and he's got a very small 2D, 4D, so they don't really line up too well. But I would go here to the ring finger on him because they line up more closely than these two. That to that is a steeper angle than that to that. So these are the two that I would lash together on him. If you don't have a 2D, 4D difference, you probably go to the index finger and you have a look at it. So this is how we do. Oh, and the other thing is, if you look at your hand in a relaxed position, we have a space between our fingers. And for some people, the space is quite wide. Other people, it's not very wide at all. But there is a space there. So just take their hand and kind of have a look at the natural space in between. Which way did I say we were going? This way. Yeah. These two?
I think it was. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, these two.
No, I think it was index. Yeah.
I think you said ring finger.
Did I? Actually, it really doesn't matter because they're almost identical. Let's go this way. So just have a look at the space because we're going to put a spacer in there of soft material. So just have a look at how big it is and how much space you might want to make your little pad. So the first thing that we do, and the other thing is, I would suggest that you take, take your scissors and get the end of your roll of tape, even if it's a roll end, and just make a little snip in the end of your tape so that you can get the thinnest piece of tape possible. Okay, this is even better than the one that I'm going to use. You want really, really thin piece of tape, and that's okay to do that. You don't have to, try and grab the tape, and I mean, if you can do it, that's fine. But it's perfectly okay to use scissors to do that. So he's got a pretty big mitt, so I'm not worried about using something that's this wide. This is still pretty good. But I'm going to get a piece that's just slightly wider than that. And just tear a big long piece off like this. And then I'm going to lay this in the crotch of the two fingers that are going to be lashed together. So I'm just going to lay that sticky side out. This is the hard part of this tape job. Okay, so just lay it there. Sticky side is up. You can use heel and lace pad, but I would suggest that you just use a piece of under wrap or pro wrap because this stuff is really soft and it'll be much less of a splint in between the fingers. And I'm just going to flop this over a few times and make a little spacer. And he's got a pretty good space between those fingers on his hands, not all of them, but, and then just tear it off. And then I want to make a measurement between the crotch of his finger and the DIP joint. I don't want my spacer to go up past the DIP joint, so I'm just going to lay that and take a rough measurement about there, tear the end off. And then just take your little spacer and lay it in between the two fingers and get the athlete to just hold it in place.
Do you not want us to go past the DIP on the longest finger or the shortest finger?
The shortest finger. That's a little bit of round stuff. It's not too important, but if you're using a heel and lace pad and you go beyond the DIP, then think of this as being a stick. It'll act as a splint and stop the DIP joint from flexing, and we don't want to do that. So now we're good. Now I can lash these two together, and the reason that I'm asking you to use as thin a piece of tape as possible is that you have to get the tape to go exactly midway between the knuckles so that the tape does not bind into the knuckle creases. So I'll start on the back of his hand, and my tape is going to go on a little bit of an angle here. That's fine. And then I have to roll the hand over, roll it right over. Make sure we keep this piece out of the way. And you see, I have to adjust my tape because I'm too close to the MTP joint. And then I get that right in line. This is incredibly slack, okay? I have no tension at all when I'm lashing these fingers. When I finish, I want to be able to move the fingers back and forth with ease. So we're not pulling them together hard. And then I have to bend this a little bit to get it to the one on the back. I would suggest that you use scissors. Don't have to, but makes it a little cleaner. And now I'm going to put one between the PIP and DIP. This is going to be on more of an angle, and I really have to watch this one. His joints are fairly close together. So don't be afraid to bend it and bring it back down again. You're going to have to weave this around a little bit to make sure it doesn't get too close to those so his are a bit of a challenge because he's neither this nor that. Okay, so that's the lashing, and this piece was just to hold the spacer in. So I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to do the one that finishes on the palmar side first, because we always finish on the back. So I'll do this one. And then do this one so I can finish on the back here. So I'm finishing off on that proximal crease. Maybe even a little bit too tight, maybe a little bit too tight, but we'll see. So I want to just put one more proximally here to hold that last strap down so it doesn't start unraveling the whole thing. So I'm just going to finish this off. and make sure that there's no tension on it. Put it right on top of the last one. Okay, and that's what it looks like. Now the test, if I'd done this right, the athlete should be able to make a complete fist and not have the fingers go purple. Okay, so he can make, and that's a pretty comfortable fist. You know, it feels perfectly natural. Getting a little bit of discoloration in this knuckle. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but it's just going, you can't really see it in there. But if you look at his hand up here, you can see there's a little bit of purple. That means that there's a little bit, I said it was a little bit too tight, and it is a bit too tight. It's causing a little bit of disruption in blood flow, but not many people are going to be walking around like this unless you're looking for someone to punch. So it's not that big a deal, but that is probably the most comfortable way to put two fingers together when one is sprained.